Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 86, Real Talk, a year in review. Guys, welcome back to the show. I'm so grateful that you're here. And thanks for tuning into this episode. I wanted to say that this has been such a great year. And I'm just excited that we're at the close and um, that I've watched the listenership grow. And anyway, I'm grateful and I'm blessed for that. I want to pop right into this episode, a year in review. This came to me, and I just have compiled lists and things of everything that's been going on this year, and I can't wait to just get into this. This year's word for me was collaboration. And I started off last year very intentional. I had reached out to people that I wanted to be on the show, and I had formulated um an email that was very just thorough, and I wanted to let each guest know how much I have been watching them and I was inspired by them. This is a podcast about purpose, and I really wanted dynamic guests to kick off 2022. And boy, was collaboration the perfect word for that. I want to thank all this year's guests. It was 14 wonderful guests dropping knowledge on Real Talk with Michelle, sharing their lives and their experiences. And I'm so happy about that. So I want to start off by naming each and every one of them to Dr. Sunah Laybourne, who I adore. We talk online all the time. Hey, girl. Hey. My sister, Monica Tucker, the Thrive Goddess, Paige Brown, Arba Soon, DJ Sister Sprouse, Julia Cannon, Woo Greer, Khadijah Austin, Dr. Maurice Abney, Jaye of Black Girl Bliss, Nicole Haskins, Yamina Mitchell, Melanie Host, and Whitney Davis. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. And if you're listening right now and you missed any of those episodes, go back. Each one was wonderful. Thank you all for being a part of the collaboration of this year and joining me on Real Talk with Michelle. I'm just thank you. I wanted to also start out with talking about podcasts that I was a guest on this year. I was on the Scenario Radio Show with Van Everett, and I was on Let's Grab Coffee with Sunah. And I got a chance to talk about my coaching at New Vibe on the Scenario Radio Show. And it was really a great opportunity. Obviously, we've done some pivoting this year with the coaching, and I'm just glad that people acknowledge that this is something that I'm doing, that I'm passionate about, and wanted me to come on their podcast. Thank you. I enjoy myself. Y'all know I love to talk. So I love to join people on their shows too. I'm always available to do that. And I talked about my happiness coaching on Let's Grab Coffee. And it was wonderful. Like, I was on the radio in my city, and that's just such a highlight to the year for me. My mother and friends tuned in, and everybody was really proud. And that's just one of the great things about collaborating with people, is it puts you in so many different places that maybe you possibly wouldn't have been in otherwise. And I enjoyed that. And I talked about my life after divorce coaching on the Scenario Radio Show. And that's just a dynamic show. If you have not, make sure you check out that show. It's so good. I love the way that they use music in between the episodes, and their guests are just really good. It's very funny. It's a really cool show. Let's talk about, since this is a year in review, like highlights, I want to share with you some of the things that I've been doing this year. And I want to start with the podcast that I loved from this year. Number one, come through. My girl is doing amazing things all the time. Purpose Over Vanity, the POV podcast, is another podcast by Sanaa. She is working. Okay. I love and adore her. She shares goal getting strategies, mindset reframes, and personal development tips. If you are trying to figure out how to attach, to go after your goals, to do whatever it is that you set your heart to, it doesn't have to be academia or anything like that. I use it because I need help sometimes planning and getting content out and having an actual strategy. This is the one you want to listen to. Go check out Purpose Over Vanity wherever you listen to your podcast. Number 2, we keep it lighthearted. I love the read with Crystal and Kid Fury. Come on, like it's absolutely hilarious. It's a funny look at Black pop culture. They have listener letters, all things Black excellence, and a good ass read at the end. And it's funny. I always enjoy listening to the read and just hearing and seeing Black people do great things in podcast land and everywhere else. Number 3, On Purpose with Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty has conversations on self-improvement, wisdom, growth, and happiness with some of the world's most insightful thought leaders. I pride myself on listening to what people have to say, as well as joining in those conversations. And there's so many thought leaders out here. You can be a thought leader if you have your own ideas about how things work. Share them with the world. I love hearing other people's point of view about different ways that we can all be successful and happy in life. And On Purpose with Jay Shetty is one of those amazing podcasts. Number 4, another guest on my show was Mel. And Melanie has a podcast. It's called Full Ass Human with Mel the Oracle. It talks about how to embrace the intricacies of life with grace because we are all human. A podcast about coming back to yourself. If you haven't listened, check out the episode with Mel on it. And then also go to Mel's podcast. And she has the most amazing, mesmerizing, calming voice. She does some meditations over there on the podcast sometimes. Check it out. It is so good. If you are having difficulty just understanding that you're human and that you're going to go through things and that there's life changes and you can roll and ebb and flow with those things, listen to Mel explain it to you with that melodic, beautiful voice. Thank you, Mel, for being on this show too. Number 5, the PHG podcast with Ebony, and that stands for the Professional Home Girl. She interviews women who remain anonymous, and they share their personal stories of addictions, life lessons, and more. Ebony has some of the most amazing guests on, and it just like, you'll be like, what? Like you just hear wild stories from people. And I just love the format of it. And I love how fun Ebony is and how she just makes it really easy and comfortable for her guests to come on and share really dynamic stories. Check out the PhD podcast. I know Ebony from one of my best friends, Felicia, and I love how women can just come I just love watching people like do what they're intended and meant to do. Ebony has always been filled with life and been funny, and her podcast is no different. Check it out. Also, my number 6 is, y'all should already know that I listen to Dateline in podcast format too. So Dateline with Lester Holt is another one for me. Y'all know I love my true crime with a side of investigative journalism. Give me investigative journalism. Like, we can all talk about those cases that are just like we all know, and we don't need to do any journey into who did it. The who did it on Dateline are wild because, baby, when they say it's somebody you know, it's usually somebody that's this close to you too. Like, they're wild. And they have some of the best TV voices ever. If you need a good nap, Lester has like a smooth voice. Check it out. No, but I love Dateline. Sorry, it had to make the list. I do have some honorable mentions because I know people who are out here podcasting, and I think you should check out their shows too. My honorable mentions, because I'm not leaving them out, go to the Shades of Brown podcast with Allie B. I met Allie at um my company, my business, Eastside Nails. She came to get her nails done there, and every time Allie came to the salon, we just had amazing conversations about everything. We could talk about everything. That's what's so great about a beauty salon, is that everybody in there is just having a good time, having self-care, being happy. Allie has on amazing guests. Allie is also helping. She's been a guest on the show too. In previous seasons, check out Allie's episode where we talk about healing the mother wound. My girl's doing great work there. Check her out. Listen to the podcast. Get into her guests. She's a great storyteller. She always has been from the shop. Check out the Shades of Brown podcast. Another one that I love is Jillian on Love by Jillian Turecki, which talks about how we can bring ourselves to relationships and understand like our partners, and just knowing when it's time to leave relationships or when it's time to like work on them. It's really great content. I have listened to it when I was having a hard time understanding some things that was going on with me inside. In regards to love, listen to Jillian on Love. It's really good. I also found this one recently because I do like to listen to some pop culture sometimes. Pop Culture with Shantae, really good podcast. Name speaks for itself. And then another one that I've kind of just started to check out, another client from the shop, Always Becoming with Kenise Burks. Check it out. It's really good. Kenise and I bonded over losing a parent, and just how hard that really truly is. And it was like instant connection, and found out she had a podcast, and I've been checking it out. I urge you to check it out too. Very vulnerable, very real. Hey, sometimes this podcast started in a moment of grief for me too. So um I know where that comes from, and look at what it's turned into. There's joy over here. Those are the podcasts that I've been listening to that I feel like you should check out. That's been my rotation for the year. I did my research on this episode, so I really did look up things that I was doing this year. Those are the podcasts that I was listening to. The books, I have to get into my books. I didn't get to read as many of them as I wanted to, but I read some books. I was into a lot of escapist fiction this year. Sometimes you just got to do fiction. Like, sometimes nonfiction, I'm my brain. I'm just a little bit like, I don't want to learn all the time. So here we are. The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. It was probably 548 pages. I absolutely pushed through. I enjoyed it. It's a book about a young boy who lost his father in a pretty traumatic way, and how we can almost start to shut ourselves down from the world. And this young man, he essentially, things started to talk to him, objects started to talk to him through his grief. And around him, his mother is also grieving, like the world is changing. It's such a good book. You really have to like delve into it, but I definitely recommend The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. I read How to Save a Life, the inside story of Grey's Anatomy. And that's just like a behind the scenes. They're talking to some of the actors and actresses. This is like written by a woman who was very familiar with the show and was allowed to like write articles on them. She worked for Entertainment Week. Such It was such a good read. If you're a Grey's fan, I'm a Grey's fan. I'm watching it until they decide that they're over it. But we just got a new class of interns. So we're in. Another book was The Quarter Storm by Veronica G. Henry. I was trying to read a little bit towards the end, some Black authors. This was one recommended to me by Amazon in their free Kindle books. I have a Kindle, so I get them. You gotta get into that one. That one was set in New Orleans, and there was a voodoo priestess, and she, was working her magic, and there was a murder, and she was helping to help them solve the murder. Check it out. Number 4, All the Lonely People by Mike Gale. This is also a African-American author, and it was so good. This one was a tearjerker. This one was about an older gentleman who lived on his own. I can't even give it away. I don't even want to give it away. Look it up, because anything I tell you about it is going to give it away. It's called All the Lonely People by Mike Gale. If you know me, you can borrow my copy because I've read it, but I'm definitely going to keep it. It's such a good book. I would reread it. The next one was called Wreckage by Emily Bleeker, and this was another pretty good book, a quick read. The book was about people who had won like a sweepstakes, and they were going on a vacation. The plane wrecked, and they were stuck on this island, and everything that happened while they were stuck on this island for maybe a couple of years before they were rescued. Y'all, it's crazy what people will do when they think it's the end of times. If you read The Lord of the Flies as a kid, this is an adult version of Lord of the Flies. It's wild. Check it out. I'm still currently reading another Black author. This is Token Black Girl by Danielle Prescott. And I'm enjoying it. I find myself in it a little bit because I think we've all, if you have moved in certain circles, have been token Black girl at one point, and the things that you had to do to fit in or try to belong. It's a good read. It's a little triggering, but it's a good read. And I read a book called Good is Dead by Susan Walter, and it's really good too. It's another one of those like thrillers. There was an accident, and after the accident, you realize there was like a cover up of some sort that happened, and then it rolls into everything like a thriller would do. Obviously, I like a lot of escapist fiction, and I love a good thriller. Keep me on my toes. And The Quarter Storm and Good is Dead definitely did that. The Book of Form and Emptiness and All the Lonely People gave me the feels, but check them all out. They're really, really good. Next, I want to go to this year in health and fitness. Like, my goals were to get serious about making the gym a part of my routine and going at least two to three times per week. I went back through because I am that person that has to like track things. So from the beginning of the year, I had stickers for my working out and I had stickers for my journaling. My workouts, I did 178 workouts. If I clock my workouts this current week, I would be at 100 and where did I say I was? 178. I'd be at 182, which would basically mean I worked out half the year. And for that, I'm proud. Like, I worked out half of a year. Like, I'm very close to being worked out 365, cut that in half. I'm almost there. Like, can you even believe that? I worked out that many times. I am proud to say that I keep my words to myself. Like, I keep my I keep my own word. Like, I don't want to disappoint myself. So I'm really happy about that. Um, I did some intermittent fasting. Along with that, I fasted for 16 hours. I ate for 8. That worked for me when I was trying to reset like some gut things, as well as get some inflammation that I had going down. Fasting is ages old. You can do it if you want to. It depends on your own particular body goals. But I found that eating like that just takes a lot of stress out of eating for me anyway. I'm eating in a specific window. I stop eating at a certain time. And I did notice that when I stopped eating about 7 o'clock, my body just feels so much better. I slept better, like a bunch of benefits that I can just tell from my sleep quality, which works because let's talk about these workouts. I downloaded the Fit On app, and it's by Jenna DeLeon. I think that's how you say it. And I love this app. It was for fine tuning my things in the gym. And it made me a confident gym girly. Like, I was a confident gym girly. Like, you could just, I know how to move around. I had already learned some things from Hotbox. I took those things that I already learned about form and doing things proper. If you don't know, Hotbox is my old gym that I went to when I lived in the city. Your girl's in the suburbs now, so we're making do. We were going to the gym on our own, which is also a new thing that the year brought. Me going on to the gym on my own and making up my workouts. I was making them up myself, and then I said, we have to do something about this because this is not motivating me. That's one thing about me too, is that if something doesn't work, I'm going to try to reconfigure it to figure out how it works. So it works. I found this app. It's wonderful. It has programs in it, so you can follow the programs exactly. I think I paid like $20 a month for it, which I spend $20 a month on more frivolous things. I thought that that was worth it. It was still, with paying for that and the gym out this way, it was still less than what I was paying to go to my fancy gym in the city. But I was a confident gym girly because of it. I had some nerve issues in my back this year. I'm pretty sure at some point or another on this podcast, I talked about how I was having issues with sitting, standing, like being in pain, like getting these really intense shooting pains down the back of my leg, which at some point it was like I wanted to cry. It was taking me out. It was taking me out. And I'm like, I love my body. My body is highly capable and confident, but we had to figure this out. I had some pretty good amounts of inflammation, and I went to physical therapy, and I had to get a shot, which I really didn't want to do, but I needed to get this shot, and I had to change my diet a bit. The shot worked. When I tell you, like, oh, because I had cried before. So this relief felt amazing to me. I added turmeric, ginger, berries, kale and spinach, salmon, avocado, garlic, chia seeds, and I had like a summer of smoothies. This really did help to get my body feeling better. Like, and don't get me wrong, I eat these foods all the time, but I was starting to like compound these foods a little bit more to make sure that I was feeling good. And I talked about my summer of smoothies before, and I can't even explain. Like, I don't even know why, but I just did. And I was having a big, giant smoothie every day. I felt so good. I'm glad I did that. My body started to just kind of self heal itself, I think, with like switching to intermittent fasting, like not making my body have to work so much with food, and then eating foods that don't agitate, aggravate, that don't aggravate the inflammation or cause inflammation worked. Um, while I only lost 5 pounds, I gained so much more. I became okay with my body and how strong and capable it is. that's how it works. Like sometimes I'm like, I think I'm just supposed to weigh what I'm supposed to weigh. I'm trying to, because having belly fat is just not healthy for you. That's what I'm trying to like work on. I love my body. So I don't want it to be like, oh, like just because having to lose weight is something that I need to do, then I'm obsessed with it. Cause I'm just really not. Like I'm very healthy. I could outrun you probably. I could like I love physical fitness. I'm strong. So I know that. And I'm grateful for my body for being able to do those things. That's that. That's what we did this year. We lost 5 pounds. I'll take it. Oh, okay. So I had to mention this because was a big thing that happened to me. My puppy, my pup, Simone, my dear darling love bug passed away in April. And I miss her so much. When I was writing up this episode, I was like, I'm missing something. And it was like my baby passed. Like, and how it happened was wild because I had been trying to figure out if I was going to move and I needed more space and I was ready and I'm like ready to engage this new part of my life with my partner, like we're going to move. And it was like she was fine, and then as soon as I like acknowledged that this move was going to happen, she passed away. Like it was like her health just went all the way down. And you know, God, spirit, universe makes no mistakes. Simone has moved with me. She's been with me. My dog was 15 years old. She's been with me. So, you know, I just don't think she had another move in her. I've lived 1,000 lives since I've had a dog. So I think God was just like, this is the end of the road for her because you're going to be a little bit further away from things. If you need to go to the shop, like you can't tend to her like you tend to her like now, because the shop was a few minutes from home. I could always go home really quick. She was very potty trained, but like towards the end, she was getting sicker and I was caring for her. She was an elderly dog, and it's like she couldn't go and she passed away. And I know y'all probably think I'm crazy how I'm talking about this, but that was my baby. Like Simone was there for me when my 18-year-old Chihuahua Roxy passed. I had Simone to like keep me going. So when I lost Simone, I'm like, I don't have any animals. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't have my baby. Oh my gosh. Cece, I miss you, Lovey. I love you so much. Um, and from there, I moved into a beautiful house with my partner of 5 years. It was such a blessing because I was wrapping up a 4-year cycle of extreme healing and relearning myself after my father passed and after I got a divorce. This was all in one. And then I like moved into this apartment in the middle of the city, which was great because it kept me involved in things and being able to go out and be social because, you go into these little holes. And I was definitely in a hole for a little while. But that part of my journey after this 4-year cycle is still unfolding. Like I'm here I am. It's the end of the year. It's been a beautiful 6 months in this house. It was a beautiful beginning of the 6 months because I was super enthused about my projects. Life is good. And while in this house, I discovered my true purpose was to share my life experiences that brought me to this happy point in my life. And I pivoted my coaching from happiness coaching to more niche of life after divorce coaching. It literally just came to me in here. I was sitting down and I was like, why am I having such a hard time coming up with more content or more things to talk about, more things to share? And I realized that I hadn't what truly came from this happiness was because I had I had gotten divorced and I really did pick my life up from there. And that's how I'm here. So I'm like, why don't I help other women who might be struggling with getting themselves back rolling after, going through such a traumatic thing like divorce. And so it came to me and I wrote this like right in the moment. It's like, I help newly divorced women find their inner power, jumpstart their new lives, and get back to their happiness, because that is really where my happiness came from. Like, I had to just jumpstart and get back moving. And I just feel so grateful for that. I wanted to talk about, while I wrap this up, I wanted to talk about what I want to do moving into 2023. I hope you enjoyed like the stuff before. I enjoyed sharing the things that I've been up to. Moving into 2023, number one is I'm accepting more new clients for New Vibe. I love the clients that I work with currently, and I'm ready. I'm ready to hold space for more. As I'm wrapping up this year, I think more is available to me. Look, hold on, I'm almost there. Number two, taking more vacations, even if it's small ones, because sometimes I'm just like, if it's not on a grand scale, this is me. Like, I'm a Venus Leo, okay? Like, grandiose me, okay? Grand scale me. But instead of being like, it has to be grand scale, I'm just going to make sure I take some vacations, even if it's little short ones. Number three, losing the last few pounds and keeping it off for good. No more yo-yo up and down, baby. I don't have time for that. I'm ready to lose this. Like I said, this little bit of visceral fat that's just hanging around that I do not need. I need it to go and keep it off for good, because now that I've got these healthy habits in order, I think I can actually do this. Okay. That's what we're doing. Number four, be more intentional with getting together with friends and seeing my family more. I can bubble myself off, and at the like a little bit the sort of end of this year, I have a girls group. We do girls night out. We have dinner at like a new restaurant, old restaurant, whatever, and we just get together. We chat for a few hours. That was being more intentional. I want to do more of that and make like some new connections too. Invite them to girls night out if they want to. Um, but I want to do that. And I definitely have to go see my family more. They're right down the road. I can roll down there. I want to see my family more. And number five, pay off debts and, become more financially free. We all know, like, we all have a little bit of debt of some sort. Maybe not all of us. I definitely do. I want to take care of that. No more of that, maybe. We're going to wrap that on up in 2023. Okay. And while I was sitting here talking, because I put out a poll on Instagram to ask what people's theme word of 2023 would be, and I got a bunch of like cute responses. To be more thoughtful was one of them. The other one was to kind of like not be attached to like outcomes, like acceptance. So I think it was acceptance, like accept things for what they are, stop trying to make them what they should be for me. Another one was like, get somebody else to do it. Should just be word, like, get somebody else to do it, because sometimes you got to have a year of get somebody else to do it. I'm not doing it. Like, no. That was Terica, and thoughtful was Terica's too. Acceptance was Katie's. Thank you guys for answering my polls. I love y'all for that. Y'all know that. And while I was sitting here talking to you guys, I think, don't hold me to it just yet, but I think my 2023, I left this on my planning. I'm going to go ahead and write it down. But I think mine is going to be more, because I want more. I want what's available. And I always know that I can have whatever I want. I know that there's always more. And I think this year I really want to get out of the mindset that having more is bad, because it's not. But I want to see this podcast take off. I want more for it. I want to see my coaching take off. I want more of that. I want all the things in abundance. Okay. That would be my word. More. We're gonna play around with that, because I have the rest of this week to decide what I really want the word to be. When we pop back in January, I'm gonna let you know what word I stuck to. It might be more though. But let's do this. Let's go right ahead. Let's pop into the daily gratitude. We have reached the end of this episode, this year in review. I'm grateful to be here. I know it's like something super specific, but I really want to say this. I'm grateful for my life, mine, that belongs to me. It is, it's just been so great. Like I had such a great like holiday week, just being around family from Thanksgiving till Christmas, spending time with my partner. Um, I really love my life. I don't know what else to say. I like when I tell y'all I wake up and I'm happy and I'm really jovial. That is really who I am. I am happy that I'm waking up in this iteration, this part of my life. Like this is for me. That is what I'm grateful for. It's the end of the year. It's the end of 2022. And I'm here and I made it. And I had some hard times. I had some good times. I had some really super good times. I had some surprising times. I had a really big dynamic year. I like with have meeting new people, starting new friendships, sharing a little bit more of myself and being a little bit more vulnerable. Like my life is great. And that is really what I'm grateful for. Guys, we've reached the end of the episode. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for listening all year. It was a record year for the podcast. So many more listens between episodes. And I'm like, what? I'm so grateful to each of you for the love. It's going to make me emotional, but you know, goodbye and see you in 2023 doing bigger things. I'm grateful for you. I'm blessed. I I really want the best for you in 2023 too. Yeah. Like I'm thank you. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 86, Real Talk, a year in review. See you guys in 2023. Love, 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 love you. Thank you and blessings to you and your family.